Hello everyone to the She Africa web series. This is a very, very, very special episode today. I'll be talking to Sarah-Jane Farrell, such an amazing, inspirational woman, and one that I'm extremely fond of, and I'm so humble and grateful that I can have her on the show, and I hope that she changes your life by just being the wonderful person that she is, and if you can connect with her. Sarah, hello.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. It's so exciting to be playing with you across the oceans.
Yeah, you look amazing. You look like an angel, and I'm so blessed to have your energy on the show and just you in my life. I feel that you are a massive contribution to this planet with the work that you do, and I'd like you just to hold the space and just explain to us who you are. You know, where do you come from?
Where do I come from? That's a very loaded question, Petro. I don't know. I suppose, like all of us, we're children of the universe, and we've been brought together in this very magical time to reconnect as women and reconnect as really getting ourselves to a different space of being in this whole tribal gathering. It's a word I love so much, living in Africa, as you know. It's time for us to really come together and be the change we want to see in the world. So who am I? I'm just an average African girl that is on a big mission to get women especially to start to use the power of their parables, the power of these stories, of struggle, of self-loathing, of abuse, whether that's self-abuse or emotional abuse or physical abuse, which we know is very prevalent around the world, not just where we live. And to use that to really catapult themselves into a different way of being, that's the magic. You know, we create our own experiences. I always say life is our PhD, and what we do with it is what we do with it. So that's really what I do, is I work with women and some amazing men as well, through my work with animal archetypes and all the other goodies that I have in my toolbox, to create a different possibility of really thriving in the world, and also from a space of that it's bigger than all of us. You know, this is not just about what we do now and what we choose now, but what we're going to leave as a living legacy. So really living into the legacy of what if you're the only one that is capable of the change that you know is possible, you know, to really step into that and get excited about it, you know, find the joy again. I think we come to a space in time where it's no longer working. The old paradigms are not working anymore. This strong masculine drive of forcing and pushing things and trying to show up and fit in and be something that we're not. So I'd like to think of myself as a catalyst for that movement, for us to really start coming back to the heart space of living on purpose, living authentically, and going no matter what anybody else has to say about it.
Yes, I love the word authentic with you, because you are authentic all the way, and you have an interesting story. I had the good fortune of speaking to Sarah a while back, and it was a very brief, quick 20-minute intro with us, just to say hello and reconnect. You know, as I say, the tribal women reconnect. You know, the ones who have the voices and are brave enough to go out into the world and change, and just step up and say, hello, I'm here to love you. And how can I teach you to love yourself, and how can we create more? Sarah, I have, you know, I was quite calm up to now, and now I have loads of questions coming in, and just words. And but the title of today's talk, and I named it like that, was your soul, purpose, and journey. Because that's what stood out for me. And the past few weeks, you know, I've been asking myself, like, what's my purpose here on planet Earth? You know, and then I would sing, what's my purpose here on planet Earth? And I would go to the beach and I'd be like, what's my purpose here on planet Earth? Or I'd speak to my partner and I'd be like, oh, I don't know what my purpose is. What is my purpose? So, yeah. So, and a lot of people have that question, Sarah-Jane, you know, and I've just written here, just be, and then I'd like to ask you about purpose. I'd like to ask you about journey, about being, and about the work that you do with animals. So, purpose, Sarah-Jane. Please talk to me about purpose.
Oh, what is our purpose? It's such a loaded question, isn't it? And there's just so much judgment on it. It's a great question, because I think that's what we all come into this world knowing that we're here to do something phenomenal, that we matter. And yet we live in a society where I often find people are trying to live their lives backwards. You know, they're trying to have more things, and they're trying to have more money, and there's this sort of order in that the more they do and the more that they achieve and the more that they acquire as far as knowledge or anything else, that they're going to be happy. And the way it actually works, in my point of view, is the complete opposite. So, you know, for you to first know what it is that you've come into this world to contribute. I love the word contribution, because we don't need helping. You know, the world doesn't need saving. The world needs your unique talents and gifts. It's that simple. Yeah. So when you get out of purpose as being that it's just one thing, then you can really start to look at what do you really need to do in order to have what you most desire. Because we're told as women especially, aren't we, that we're not allowed to have desires. We're not allowed to be selfish, that it's somehow wrong. And this whole world is hardwired and set up to tell us that we're not allowed what we want. You know, so it's like, have what you want. And what if your purpose doesn't have any meaning making in it? So I don't really have anything other than an energy of priority rather than purpose. If it feels light for you to follow something that your heart's singing for, and it's just like, oh, that feels so great. And you know what it's like. It's back to connection. It's back to that coming home to your heart. I always say, what makes your heart sing? Follow that. Stop living in this mental monkey mind and the inner dialogue that is really geared to make us feel safer and more comfortable about how we control our environment. Instead of looking at how can I contribute to this place that I'm in or the space that I'm in. So the monkey mind's always going off and telling you that you should have a purpose, Petro. Why don't you know your purpose? It's a very loud voice. Yeah. And just by dropping down out of the head, which is a practice, you know, they say life is a practice. That's the PhD, right? Yeah. It's a constant state of learning. Yeah. And we take ourselves so seriously, don't we? You know, it's just like, I have to get this right. I have to aim for the perfect place for me to show up. And there's this waiting game. It's such an insidious place that we all stay in the space of waiting until we get it right, waiting until we think we have everything that we need, instead of just showing up. And, you know, authenticity is very interesting, because I think it's an action. It's an action. It's like being authentic just means showing up and being who you are. And if that's a mess, and believe me, I know how to get messy, then be a mess. What if purpose is a priority of just saying, hey, you know what? I'm going. Do you want to come play? And not taking everything so personally. So I don't know if that really expands or is of any contribution to you from a place of looking differently at what is my purpose to what makes my heart sing. Isn't that so much lighter to come from that question?
Yes, it definitely sounds much lighter. And I have to say, you know, like, because I'm very driven to do something and be something and go something and do and just create more. You know, what can I be for other people so that first of all my life falls in place and gets aligned, and what can I then after that's happened, B, so that their lives can fall in place and get aligned, and you know, it's just like this ripple effect. And I mentioned to you earlier on, you know, I hit this wall, and for 2 weeks nothing's happened, and I was quite down and depressed. And then I just thought, to hell with it, you know, I'm just going to sit here. I'm going to sit here and just love myself and be very quiet and not be focused on getting all the work done or ticking the list or like making more plans, because whatever I was doing wasn't working. And a lot of people feel like that at the moment, you know. Yeah, they feel like they have to do something, and it's not working for them.
Yeah, yeah. And that's an interesting space, and you're definitely not alone in it. Because it's just like how many people make their to-do lists bigger than their life. You know, you're a living legacy. It's like, what is it that you want to impart into the world? But taking that breath, as you said, being willing to love yourself into that, to lean into those uncomfortable parts, which are saying, why haven't you done what you're supposed to do? You're a naughty girl, and all this stuff going on in your head, and then the worry that comes up. And the worry really is a failure of confidence, isn't it? In how we have this ability to know how to receive loving ourselves. Because I believe you can't give that. You can't be loved if you're not willing to love yourself. And I think that for me has been one of the biggest struggles with probably, I don't know, the first 40 years of my life, was that not enoughness. And that's the perfection part again, is if you're trying to get your purpose perfect, you're going to kill your dream. Perfection is the killer of all dreams. And judgment's right there along with it, you know? So it's just like to practice, again, that space of being present, as you said, of going, okay, you know what? My vision is bigger than my to-do list. I'm just going to love myself into the space of nothingness. Then we can get out of this impelled desire that we have to always be doing in order to prove that we're enough. We're enough already.
Yes.
But there's this whole thing on worthiness, which is why it plays such a big part in my work with the self-abuse. Because it's all self-inflicted. It's all self-imposed judgment. I don't need a wicked stepmother to do that for me. I'm really good at it myself. I don't know about you. But it's like, I do a great job on my own of making myself small and stuck in this deep, dark rabbit hole of never enough. It's never enough. I'm never enough. In fact, it came up for me on my travels a couple of weeks ago, was this underlying pattern again of, when am I going to be enough? And the answer is very simple. When you drop out of this and you go into this heart phase of going, when I choose to be enough, when I give myself permission. It's the permission part that we were speaking of earlier. When you choose to just connect back with this, then you can start to learn from your experiences. They're no mistakes. You know, it really is about, it can be very helpful to just sit in that space. And we're too busy doing, again, this is my interesting point of view. I believe my whole life I've been so busy proving and doing to the point of over-giving, to the point of self-deprecating humor, to the point of wanting to be liked or to fit in. And you know what? It doesn't work. So when you really get on your path or your purpose, as you were saying, and you allow yourself to go there and do your happy dance and sing from the rooftops and jump, and when you land, enjoy the breeze on your face, but when you land, have a look around and see, is this in alignment with where I want to go? And if it isn't, jump again. You know, and this is where it's so important, again, I think, to have a tribe, to have women in your life that can celebrate your successes, but also be there to see where there's learning. Not from a place of judgment, not from a place of, but to ask for support. I think that's something that I'm asking for more of. Is that I don't want to do this on my own. I want to be a part of that collective consciousness that's going, hey, we can go there so much faster together.
Yes.
We can go so much further together, but owning it first, because you can't give what you don't have, right?
Yeah.
And all the things we think we know are exactly the things we need to learn. So I'd like to get us to a place where, on the purpose part again, of really tapping more into that as women, supporting women, rather than thinking that I have to do this on my own and pretend to be something that I'm not, because others will judge me as not enough, to validate your reality that I'm not enough. It's crazy, because we all want the same thing, and yet we're separating ourselves out from each other because we're in the fear of being judged as, well, you know, if I say, wow, Petro's an amazing storyteller, go and have a conversation with her, that somehow people would think that I am not enough. But it's not about other people. It's about how we've already capped our happiness, actually. I think we're really good at capping our happiness. Yeah. So that if I cap it, if I decide that I can't be too happy, then nobody else gets to tell me how happy I can be. It's insanity, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it's crazy. It's crazy. Sarah-Jane, you know, and there's so many women. I mean, I've connected with women's networks, and I've emailed them, and you know, and it's always a sharing with me. Like that's been like that my whole life, was to share, you know, the information, and how can my network and your network come together and play and do more and create more. And what I find in South Africa, especially in South Africa, and I'm in Cape Town, is it's so cliquey. It's so cliquey, and women are fearful and they don't want to open up. And when you talk about, when you talk about sex, or you talk about orgasms, or you talk about, you know, waking the conscious woman up, or the sexual woman up, people go, oh no, I don't want to be you know, associated with this. And I find that so sad, you know, and not even sad. I just find it more like my mouth drops, and I go, why not? Why not? You know, why wouldn't you want to celebrate women, a whole, like the entire woman, all of you, everything? Why wouldn't you want to know every part of you, so that you as a woman can function at 1,000%? You know, because I believe that's where the change is that's, you know, with us waking up and going into our feminine and going into our womb, and stepping in our brilliance, and which is something that you do, you know, with your work. That's going to change things, don't you think? Yeah.
Absolutely, and you know, you're touching on such an important part of where, again, it's back to the shame. You know, we've been told our whole lives by societal, our ancestors, our maternal mothers always had to hide this as a place of staying small, that we had to be ashamed of our femininity, of our womb space, instead of really looking at this as the birthing of a different creation, where we get to hold our world and others in it because of it. So I'm excited to see that things are changing, and they're changing because people like you and me and incredible women around the world are saying no more. It's time to stop this madness, and in it there has to be a death. And I think death gives meaning to life. I'm not saying kill the masculine, but I'm saying balance is constant. You know, the balance is constant movement. It's adaptability. That's why nature is so good at marketing herself. You know, she knows how to thrive, and as the maternal wisdom, that ancient wisdom that our grandmothers knew, it was always in parable, in storytelling, in the red tent, of holding just your piece of the red thread, and knowing that you're still connected. Because we're hardwired for connection on a very primal cellular level. And this is, I think, why so many people right now are uncomfortable talking about the Shakti, talking about the unspoken, because it can't be quieted anymore. It's got its own life, and it takes courage to step into that space of speaking of the unspeakables. And I honor and acknowledge that you're putting yourself out there, regardless of what anybody else has to say about it. Because I talk a lot about courage in my work, and cur, of course, comes from the Latin of heart. It's connecting back to the heart. What does the heart know? This brain and the heart is much bigger than this funny thing. And we're the only species stupid enough to keep projecting our past experiences from a victimology, or our future what ifs and shoulds and coulds, and the waiting game that we play of waiting. It's not time, it's not safe. And in it too, I think again it comes back to that authenticity of, like you said earlier, loving yourself into it and recognizing that perhaps in other lifetimes before this one, I know you and I have been burnt at a stake together before, for speaking the truth, and probably hung and stoned. So there is that primal part that comes back every time we're reincarnated into another life, and we're living in this earth plane now in these bodies that we've chosen to leave a legacy, to have purpose and priority, in knowing that all those past lifetime experiences are nothing to be ashamed of. But yes, it's safe to come out now. And even in so doing, recognizing that there are still women today in the world where it is not safe to speak of these things. It is not safe to be seen. It's not safe to show up. And how much change can we, as women that can be seen, that are willing to risk it all and go into that fear place, how much can we change? And this is what excites me, is the potency of holding women that are not in that situation up, through causes and through being the voice for those that cannot be heard right now because it isn't safe for them in the world. And I love that, where you're going with that, because that is the quantum field, isn't it? It's that quantum, it's that morphogenic resonance that we actually hold in our collective as women, as a species, that when you stop doing and you hold intent to change something, not from right or wrong, but from a space of what can I give because I am being me in this moment for a woman, then it changes everything.
Yes. Wow. Yes, yeah, it does. I get goosebumps when you say that, because it really is about being, and most of us, we're courageous and we go out there and we want to change things. That's the goal. Be the change you wish to see in the world. And through that, we still have our own struggles. We're not perfect. We still get down. We still get sad. We still have our own little obstacles to climb over, and our goals and our accomplishments. Sarah-Jane, interesting life from us speaking. And if you feel comfortable enough to share just a little bit your highs and lows, because that's what we do in She Africa. It is about business, but it's also about really connecting and creating a tribe in Africa of just being and loving and support store, or the women on the the women that you don't know through, or your enemy, your friend, whoever it is. It doesn't matter what you label. It's just being there and supporting them and loving, as you said, as a species. Can you share a little bit of your life, like just some highs and lows? Because I know that a lot of women that I speak to, they're just not getting out of the change. They're just not getting to the change that they desire, and they don't know how, and they don't have the people in their life that can facilitate that for them. So, and sometimes, sometimes it feels unattainable. That beautiful change, that beautiful life, that beautiful just loving space. It seems unattainable, or that wealth. It seems unattainable from, and I was hoping that you could say something about that.
Yeah, thank you for asking. Again, going back to the shame and what you were saying about the perfection part of it too, is I really got into this space just recently of coming out of the closet, so to speak, with information that I have been really carrying as a burden of my own for the last 2 years. Let me go back a little bit, about 15, longer now, about 20 years ago. I had a great business. I had what looked like a beautiful life. And wow, I don't even know where to start, because it really was about, you know, growing. I'll go back even further. I'm just looking at my timeline because it's changed so much. But when you speak of that place of vulnerability, of thinking that you have to do it on your own because you don't want to worry other people about your concerns because everybody's carrying their own load. I kind of grew up like that. I was the third of 4 daughters. My father was a Springbok rugby player, and he wanted sons. I think he gave up after the 4th daughter. He was like, okay, there's no rugby team coming here. But growing up feeling really different. Like in Zimbabwe, on a farm, and I didn't fit. I was the strange one. My sisters used to say, oh, you know, she's the weird one. And I don't look like any of them either. So they really thought, you know, I was this alien that was planted. And they always say that you choose you choose your family for the things that you most need to learn. So, you know, I have and don't get me wrong, I have an amazing family and I adore my sisters. But it was probably, we all want to have the most dysfunctional family out there. But I certainly had a lot of dysfunction. My father was an alcoholic. And there was always this thing around perfection. So we were all over strivers, you know, overly giving. Always had to be number one. My dad used to say, you're a number one or you are nothing. So this intense drive where I actually don't remember feeling like I ever had choice. I don't feel like I didn't have a bad childhood. But I don't remember ever, I felt very disconnected. So I was rushed off to doctors because, you know, I was overachieving in everything, academics, sport. I went to the World Games for synchronized swimming when I was 12. I was the youngest person to ever represent my country. And I was like, you know, this supposedly together, gorgeous young girl that had everything going for her. And on the inside, I was dying. To the point where I was cutting myself. I tried to kill myself at 16. And that was really fueled by people saying, what's wrong with you? Lift your game. What have you got to be sorry for? You know, why? My mother used to tell me, Sarah-Jane, you can never be sad because you look angry. And I came in with the capacity to be able to see things that other people couldn't see. And tell people things that children shouldn't know about. Yeah. And I was made so wrong for that intuitive capacity of mine that the only way to shut it down, because I was told, oh, she has childhood depression. And then later on, I was told I had bipolar. And I was put on all sorts of medication and prodded and poked. But on the outside, you always had to look perfect. Okay. Yeah. So there was this complete conflictual reality running in my life all the time. And I a lot of it's a blur. I have what I used to call holes in my childhood, in my first 20 years, where I don't actually remember times of my life. And it was through only later after I was diagnosed with what they call an acoustic neuroma. And I actually had 2 of them on the back of my brain. So these are big brain tumors. Around in my 30s, when I was living in Cape Town and having this great life, and I only found realization afterwards, after going through it. I always say, why do we have to have breakdowns before we have breakthroughs? And I suppose that's the only place we're still enough to do the learning. So again, for me, the possibility of dying, because I was told, you know, go and settle your stuff because this is it. And I was in a business and in a marriage where my ex-husband had said to me, Sarah-Jane, if you want out, the only way you're going to leave is in a coffin. And, you know, he pretty much handed me a gun and said, go and shoot yourself. Or that he was going to destroy the business so that I left with nothing. So, you know, I know a lot about abuse. And if that was something I chose, because I realize now we choose our reality, just as I chose to create brain tumors to get out of my life. I always say to people, what are you dying to get out of? So I treat a lot of chronic disease and a lot of emotional distortion, because people know me, because I go, hey, I don't have it together. I'm not perfect. I am in the process of uncovering who I'm here to be. But that was really a turning point for me. You know, there's been a couple, but I would say, you know, 15, 20 years ago, when I was told, this is it, you know, tell your family, because we can't operate on it. It's too close to your brainstem. You could be paralyzed. This is it. But I really either had to make a big choice, that I either chose to live or I chose to die, because death is a choice too. And I did. I literally did try and kill myself. Thank goodness I had an amazing friend who loved me through it, and her family, because I tried to kill myself at her house. And that really was the turning point for me, where I checked into an insane asylum in Pietermaritzburg, because I by then had liquidated and sequestrated my company, and I'd been personally sequestrated, and there was so much shame about how could I not have seen this coming in the fitting in part. And then later having this beautiful awareness that I lived to see, that the only way I could get out of the life that was killing me was to literally have a pity mort, have a death of some sort. And it was a beautiful place to hide. You know, I wouldn't recommend checking into a government institution. I was in Town Hill. But I'm writing a book about it. It's been a long time coming, because for a long time it was sitting in the dark, in the shadows, because I was actually too afraid to go back in and see what I had written at that time. You know, what I learned in a mental hospital. I learned a lot. I learned a lot about entities. I learned a lot about all sorts of things. But that was really when I had a change in direction and stepped into this role of the healer that needed to heal the wounded child. You know, I'm here to create my own healing. And in so doing, if I hadn't gone through the experiences and had the story of some of the challenges that I created, I wouldn't be able to be here having this conversation with you. You know, I would probably be maybe not even here, but so I know that was a lot, but that's kind of part of my story of how I got to be sitting in this beautiful space, in this beautiful life, having this conversation with you, is to just tell people to never give up, you know, is to ask questions and to know that you're supported. And if what you are, don't buy your diagnoses, don't buy the projections of what other people have to say to you. It's just an interesting point of view. And I think that is so key. And I don't even want to say recovering, I would rather say remembering, because this is my member and I am me, part of that, of remembering who you are, you know, what matters. Because these challenges that you speak of having the chaotic nodes bouncing you around off the ceilings and backwards and forwards, and there's been a lot of that right now, is just a beautiful invitation, even though it may not seem so in the moment, to look at where am I out of congruence with my heart space. So for me, 2 years ago, something happened, and I was going, and I was very much into, I want to say, a mental aspect of egoic. I have something to say, and I'm going to do this and whatever. And the tumors that went away 15 years ago came back with a vengeance. And what happens with an acoustic neuroma is it affects the hearing. I started to slur. I couldn't do my work, which is speaking. I couldn't speak to my clients. And I went, wow, thank goodness, because now I know where am I out of alignment with my true calling. And it hasn't been easy. So I would say to anyone that resonates with my story is to look at where you lost your joy, where you have lost touch. And I'm talking about touch as the sensate of being multisensory, living, organic, breathing, emotional beings that we are as women, and get back to the feeling of what it is that you need to know in order for you to change it. And being willing, as you said, to love yourself into that space. Even if you can't love yourself. The despicable me is pretend to anyway. Because eventually, and it takes as long as it takes, but when you give yourself a space and you ask yourself, who is here to support me? And you're willing to share that part that scares you the most, not just with others, but in the internal dialogue, then the alchemy is in action. And then things start to change in magical ways that are beyond you. You know, it's the control thing. You know, it's really every time, it's another layer for me of surrendering that I actually don't need to control my environment. It's impossible anyway. But the ego wants what the ego wants. So give the ego a job and say, hey, thanks, I hear you, but I'm going anyway. Lean into it instead of running away from the fear.
Wow. So Sarah, we have a little bit of a delay. Speaking, you know, a bit later than I don't know if you also have a delay on your side. With me speaking and my face and my mouth. You know, I know exactly what that feels like. I've also gone through that. You know, and what I find is that we look at women, anybody, a woman and a man, and you would never say that they're going through something like that, you know, especially not the strong ones. And I remember a few years ago, I just hit this depression. I was seeing somebody that was not good for me, you know, and it was a time where I said, okay, I'm not going to be, and from where I thought I was stuck up, you know, instead of just being protective, I said, okay, but I'm gonna slack down a bit, and I'm gonna be a bit more sort of like open towards, you know. And boy, did that bring in all sorts of creatures into my life and people that I feel would have actually been fine if they weren't there. You know, I would have been fine if I never met you. But they came into my life, and I went through this, you know, a very, very, very deep. Like I wanted to check out. I didn't want to be on planet Earth anymore. I didn't want to deal with this. Almost swore now. I didn't want to deal with this, and I just really wanted to go. You know, and I remember my mom kept on phoning me every night, and I would have to answer my phone. Yes, mom. Yeah, I'm fine, mom. You know, and eventually I didn't answer the phone because, you know, they didn't know me like that. They just knew that I was the strong one. I was the one who could leave home the very same day I finished school and just leave and be on my own and move to wherever I want to move. And then I hit this very, very, very depressed, you know, state of being. And yeah, and I can't even remember how I got out of it. It's probably just my personality, and, you know, always look on the bright side. But I know that there are so many women that don't have that, you know, and I've met so many women who wanted to commit suicide, and there's just nothing that anybody can do and say to you, you know, to get you out of that. I don't know if you also had that. Like they could say, they could mean well, but it doesn't work. It doesn't work, you know. It's got to be, and I find it so beautiful, like in that drama. And that absolute space of just, you know, just like, you don't even know what to call it, comes beauty, and the phoenix rises, and, you know, you see the light, and you start blossoming. And so for whoever's watching this, you know, if you're feeling like that, if you're feeling like you want to check out, you might want to hold on a little bit longer, because it does change. And there are women doing amazing work like Sarah-Jane, and She Africa is also open to connect with you. You know, women have put themselves out there to meet with you and embrace you and hold you in a safe space if you don't have people like that in your life. And you just have to go and look for us, you know, and make that connection. Yeah, hold on. Okay, Sarah, the floor is yours again. So,
yeah, no, I love
so yeah,
what
thank
you're
you for sharing.
Yeah, it's important to ask, you know, when you're in that place, like you're saying, it's like you can't lift your game. When you are down, you are down. And again, it's just like being willing to be vulnerable enough to actually say, I'm not okay. Could you help me? And surrounding yourself with people that can see you and see you in your greatest potential. Even when you are not ever believing that you're ever going to get out of that, it's so, it's such a gift to be able to ask. And it's the one thing that we're not willing to do, because we're, again, go back into this place of, just let go. I guess what I'm trying to say is just let go of who you think you have to be based on other people's reality. And if you're not okay, tell someone. Tell someone. You don't have to do this on your own. It was such a relief, wasn't it, for you to actually be able to speak about the time where you felt so unsupported, or that you were not willing to allow people to support you. This is the same energy of money, and this is where, when you start to uncover one area or one aspect of your life that you're not willing to receive, and you'll find it'll run through everything, including money, because money is just that energy of receiving. So ask for help. Surround yourself with people that can see you and hold you up when you can't be there for yourself. And reach out. Yeah, you don't even have to look. When you're willing to ask, it's amazing what comes into your environment to receive. But I think it's about that deep, fertile listening, of being still enough, even in the depths of depression, which, by the way, oftentimes is you as this big giant satellite dish picking up everybody else's sadness and the earth's cry for love and support. So a lot of the time it's not even yours. And one tool, if I may, before we move on, is to just ask, is this mine? Does this feeling belong to me? Because a lot of the time you're not your thoughts, feelings, and emotions. It's you being this amazing, gifted, intuitive, multi-sensory being who is so in tune with your surroundings that maybe you're expressing something for somebody else that can't. And that's the gift too. So celebrate the moments when you're down. You can't be happy all the time. It's impossible. Nature doesn't work like that. There's a season for everything. And one of those seasons is to have these deaths, these mini deaths, to let go of the things that no longer work for you, to let go of the things that are not serving you. And that includes people too, but to bless them and thank them and say, thanks, you've done a great job, just as you speak to the mind. But you're not welcome anymore. You don't need that. There's no wrongness in it. It's just the space of choosing what's working for you to stay in alignment with your core values, with your integrity, with your purpose. Where am I going today? And who wants to come?
Yeah. Oh, wow, Sarah. So, okay. So you've also created quite a lot, so you've had your downs and you are on a major up at the moment. And I discovered you last year. Through Access Consciousness. And then I sent you an email and you replied, but the energy that I got from that email, just your willingness to be there and just your yes way, you're one of these yes women, is what I call them. I call them the yes women, the beautiful, gorgeous, loving, just yes, how can I serve you and how can I be a part of your life? And so you've created quite a lot. And one thing I do want to talk about it is animals, because I'm such a softie when it comes to these beautiful animals that we have on planet Earth. And, being born and raised in Namibia, which, there's a lot of trophy hunting going on that side, and people eat meat. I don't eat meat. Oh, bless you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I don't eat meat, but, I was raised in a very Afrikaans home. You have to eat meat, and it's okay to go and shoot, whatever animal. And and it's not as bad as in the rest of the world where people don't even know where the meat comes from. But you've got a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful story when it comes to connecting with animals and using that also to change the world. And before we do that, can you just quickly tell me about everything that you've created from your all your businesses and the books that you've written? And you're just amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, it's kind of like, you know, when you take the cork out of your blowhole, you can't stop it. You know, it's so much to give, and I'm willing for it to pour out of me as a conduit. If I have to be the channel for whatever this is, I'm willing to go there. And yeah, as you mentioned, that's kind of just how I follow the energy. So my business is shifting and changing as the joy of me. And I always say, what if your life is your business? So stop trying to create a business that you fit into, or kill yourself to create a business, because how many people do we see killing themselves to make a living rather than living?
Oh, yes.
Living as this beautiful joy of not the distractor of busyness, but I wonder what I can follow today that's going to create. So everything I've sort of created over my life has really been all for me. Actually, you know, if I'm totally truthful with you, it's all for me, because it's what I need to learn, and it's what I am working through to make a positive impact for other people. So people always kind of get a bit aghast at that when I say, well, you know, thank you so much for showing up, because this is all for me. It is.
Yeah.
It really, really is.
It is.
So yeah, I'm in a space of really, at this time, looking at how I can use animal alchemy, animal archetypes, to assist women who are either in some kind of transitional phase in their lives. And it's not just women, but that's my joy of the sisterhood, because I'm a woman. I'm not a man. So in this lifetime, I am a woman, and this is already about coming back, as you said, to this beautiful creative aspect of how do you want to create your life. So I have a business called the Diamond University, and it really is because my maiden name is Diamond, so there was quite a funny one on that. And funnily enough, Irish Jews, actually Russian Irish Jews. So if you want to talk about struggle and famine and, you know, Irish potato farmers and blight and disease, I chose a great ancestral lineage to show me what that looks like. And then, of course, living in South Africa, where there's been some struggle and separation, that's really where I am right now, is looking at how to assist women transitioning out of, and that could be empty nest syndrome, it could be after a divorce, any kind of traumatic lifeline where they feel stuck or incapacitated, to change it. And specifically in the creation of business. So, you know, really just looking for the next phase of expansion for people's business, and how our connection with animals, you know, getting back to what you were saying about living in Namibia, which has so much natural beauty, and yet this human element of decimation, or irreverence to other species. It's a very interesting energy for me, and it's one that actually has made me quite sick at times, because I've taken it on as, I'm useless to change this. You know? I love the story of the little boy. I don't know if you know that one, where there's all these starfish on the beach, and he's throwing them back, and he's throwing them back, and some man walks past and he says, "Why are you even bothering? You're never going to be able to save them all." And he says, "Yes, but I saved that one, and I saved that one, and I saved that one." And that's really what it is. You know, it's just like, I am not for everyone, and my work is not for everyone. But if I can change one person's life by showing up, that is my purpose. That you were speaking of later. That's all that matters to me, is the one person that I can impart and change their possibilities for, because I know what that is. I'm an expert on all those things. I'm an expert on trauma. because I have lived it. We're all an expert. We're an expert on our story. So I really take women through this process of finding the power of their parable. What is the power of your story? And in that unraveling, and using your animal guides and looking at nature, who is always present, just like our bodies. She never goes away. Animals bring us back to this beautiful, deeply buried aspect of nature that's within us. You know, so it's really, for me, it's not about taming your demons and dragons. It's about embracing the wild within. That primal desire to make a difference, to find whatever it is that you're desiring in your life, and rekindling this lost connection that allows us to stop feeling so separate and be part of something that's greater than all of us. It's bigger than all of us. So I really am loving that body of work that's coming through and changing and uplifting and showing me where to go. I don't feel like I have much control over it. I don't want to control it. But that's a beautiful process of really looking at embracing the wild within you, and bringing your animal out into the world. And this is where your work, with the divine feminine, the Shakti energy, the sacral chakra is the creation of source. If we're not willing to step into that on a physical plane, and again, when you start to work with animal archetypes, you are no more important than the ant, and the ant is no more important than you. It's this level playing field of all things are equal. That's the space of allowance. That's the space of love and reverence to one another, that we all have a piece to contribute, and no one can do it the way that you do it. So that's what I'm wanting to look at, is really the alchemy of action, of birthing your vision in the direction of the east and the air. And we move through the medicine wheel and the compass directions of tracking your North Star, which is your purpose, right? It's just like, where am I? It doesn't have to be the way the compass tells you so. It's finding your inner compass and traveling the journey, however you want to do it, with the support and the guidance to keep cheering you on and saying, hey, you can do this. You matter. This matters. So that's it.
Oh, Sarah-Jane, you're so amazing. I have to say that. And, with Shea Africa is all about celebrating women and celebrating the courageous women. Just any woman, really, all women. And it really is. And also watching in Namibia, I kept on saying like co-creation, because we wouldn't be doing what we're doing if there wasn't a requirement for it. And people say to me, Petro, oh, we love your business, how amazing. And I go to them and I say, but it's not just mine, like sometimes it's a bit too much for me. And I feel like I haven't quite met everyone and I want to jump into the future and just go and get these people who still have to join up with me and link with me. On one of our previous conversations, and I don't know how much time you still have left, we were talking about women all over the world and how amazing it is that we want to connect with women in America, and we want to connect with women in Europe, and we want to bring all of these people to Africa. And you said something so beautiful and magical. And you said that we have women here. We have women right here in Africa doing amazing things, but we don't know about them. Why don't we know about them?
Yeah.
And I'd love to give you the space on the Shea Africa platform to invite women to invite people to come and connect with you wherever you are, because I know that you have amazing women and warriors and just angels that you're connecting with. But I'd like you to take the space and invite women to join up with you. What is the type of women that you would like to work with? What is, who are you looking to co-create with or busy co-creating with, in case she maybe doesn't know who's listening or will be listening.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. I love what you said about the collaboration part, because that really is it. It's bigger than all of us.
Yeah.
And you can't do it all yourself. Well, you could try, but it's like I would prefer not to burn out or want to check out again.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this whole thing around entrepreneurship too. I love playing with words because I think it's always the energy of the words. It's never what we think it is. It's the energy of what it brings up, of interpreneurship. It's an interconnection. It's the webs that we're weaving. So, it's like, how long is a piece of string? It's just like, if you are resonating with what Petro and I are saying and sharing and inviting you into on this call, then you are she Africa. You are that woman. You're the she bear, the mama bear that has something that matters to share with this body of work called living on planet Earth. So, oh, excuse me. So, I think it's really a rite of passage of really looking again at what does matter to you. What is it that you are sitting on that is not, that again, very abusive, because the world needs that part. So if you have something to say and you're not quite sure how to get your voice out into the world, please speak to me. Speak to us under this beautiful, nurturing body that is She Africa, and she is her own entity too. She's not you and she's not me. She Africa is the womb space. It's a beautiful platform, and I'm so grateful for you for creating this, even when you wanted to quit, even when you wanted to give it up, because people were not ready to see or receive this. It takes as long as it takes, but knowing that you can get there so much quicker when you ask for support and you're willing to go into the place that scares the pants off you, that we're here to support and cheer you on. And that's really as big as my invitation is that, yes, we do have so many incredible women. And the fact that we're only just finding each other now, it doesn't matter. The fact is that we are finding each other. And it is a remembering, because it's like, hey, don't I know you? I think I said that to you. It's like, have we met before? You're so familiar. Of course you are. Because we have done work and we have been part of something magical before. And that remembering, that time to actually bring up the consciousness of what is possible as women, as a tribal, I call it a re-lovution. Okay, we're not revolting. We are remembering the love of having a gathering to be the change and leave the world in a better place than we found it. This is a sustainable planet, and this is what the feminine economy is all about. Wealth is not about how much money you have in your bank account. Wealth is, for me, connection. Makes me an incredibly wealthy woman. That is my currency, is connection. So what is your currency? What is your value on yourself? And if people want to know more about that, I have a book called The 4 C's of Feminine Wealth Mastery. It's Diamond Wealth Mastery, and it's all around being the diamond. Look how much pressure and heat it takes for a piece of carbon to turn into a beautiful clear diamond. So the analogy on that, there is a diamond within us. Let's activate this diamond code. Let's bring in the support of Earth, of Mother Gaia, of the Elohim, of the David kingdom, of the animal kingdom. And let's bring all of that into a space of creating a sustainable planet. So, you can't help others, and I don't mean help from a superior position, but you can't be of contribution until you're willing to have claim your own value. Claim your diamond birthright. It's your birthright as a divine feminine. It's your birthright to thrive. So choose it, and they can find the workbook, and there's a 4-part video training series on how to get clear on what is my big what is my purpose, what am I here to do. And if people have any questions or they want to go deeper into that work, I'm sure you'll let them know where to find me.
Yes, I do. And for those that are watching, you know, I believe, and it's more than a belief, I really, really sense that if you want to expand, this is the woman to speak to. Sarah-Jane Farrell is the woman to speak to, and she can travel. She's traveled the world. She's connected with amazing women who's contributed to her life, I think, in more ways than you possibly ever could have imagined, Sarah. And so now you're sitting with that wealth of knowledge. And so if you resonate with her, please contact her, because what's coming to me is the world needs you. And if you haven't woken up yet, she is, I believe that she's the one that can do it for you, you know, that can facilitate that change for you. And I just want to mention one more thing, because we've had such an amazing long talk. Like I can't believe it's been an hour already. Sorry, you're busy with
concepts, is it? It doesn't matter, and it's snowing outside. I'm sitting here and it's snowing outside the window. I'm sitting in Michigan on the lake, and it's just so magical to see these beautiful snowflakes that are coming, cheering us on and saying, yes, come, let's just do the tsunami of change, and let's get together and play.
Wow.
Bridge. I mean, I came to, and this is the 8 energy, sorry to interrupt you, but this is the 8 energy of 2015. This is the energy of dragonfly. We just had this beautiful frog moon on Saturday. Nature is saying, hey, this is your time. This is the time of transmutation. This is the time to have the tools to be adaptable, to be able to be blasted around in the wind, be a snowflake, be unique, show up and play. So I'm kind of here for holding the love and the space for She Africa and for all the women in my part of the world to be the bridge to the Western woman. I think the Dalai Lama said the world would be saved by the Western woman, and I just believe the world will be saved by the conscious woman who is willing to claim her freedom. I give permission to be me. So, yay. The time
And on that, Sarah, before we say goodbye, I just want to add, you know, we're talking a lot about women, but if you're a man watching this, if you're a gay man watching this, you know, it really is, like you said in the beginning, it's to balance the male and the female. We have both parts, you know, we have both feminine and both masculine, and embrace it. You know, if you need to cry, cry. If you need to go and hug somebody, go and hug somebody. If you need to kiss them, whatever it takes for you to embrace both worlds, both energies, do it. It's so needed and required at the moment. And and conscious woman, Sarah-Jane, because I'm very excited to and I look forward to you coming back to South Africa, because you briefly mentioned that you're busy with something amazing and magical, and the word conscious entrepreneurs. So for those watching and that will be watching, if you see yourself as a conscious entrepreneur, then go and check out what she's doing. And if you sense to get involved with, please don't hesitate. Just do it. Just do it.
Just do it. I love it.
Just do it. Just do it. Yeah, just do it. Okay, so Sarah-Jane, do you have any final words before we say goodbye?
Final words. Just be yourself. As you said, just do it. You know, let go of who you think you're supposed to be, and just embrace who you are. Be kind to yourself. Ask lots of questions, not from a space of getting it right or getting it perfect or going into any kind of conclusionary reality, but just from a space of that inner curiosity and that direction of the waste. You know, this is all about the watery emotions. of, and just letting you know, be willing to flow into the space of wonder, where as a child you knew that you could have and do and be anything. Go back to that. Feed the little girl or boy inside, and let her come out and play. Come play in the snow. Go play. Play more.
Go play in the world. Yeah.
Just play. It's such a beautiful energy. We're not supposed to be struggling. We made that up as if that's some kind of rite of passage of worthiness, of enoughness again. Just know you're enough, and that what you are matters, and what you have to say matters, and that I see you and I celebrate you, and I am in deep appreciation for you, Petro, and for what you have created, and for the joy of this connection. I know that we are going to do more magical things, and really go into that fire that you spoke of, the direction of south, and this alchemy of inspired action, of being seen in the world. And I am excited to see where we go with that. So I would just say, go play, and remember that your vision is bigger than your to-do list.
Well, so Sarah-Jane, yes, back at you. Know that you support it. My network will be open to you in any way to be. And I believe that it will reach the people who are looking to change, and who are searching, and who are pioneering into the world, creating just beautiful magic places wherever they are. And I know that I'm going to be connecting with you soon. And I wish you the most beautiful day, because it is morning on your side. And I look forward to you coming back. And if ever there's anything that you require from She Africa or She's Connected SA, please ask. Yeah, please ask.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much. It's just such a limitless, infinite invitation of possibility, and one that I am truly willing to receive. So thank you for you.
Thank you.
And
thank you.
Sleep with the angels, because you're about to do
it. So you have a beautiful day, and thank you, and I'll be speaking to you soon. And to those that are watching, please connect with her. We have all the information in the video below. So she's on Facebook, she's on Twitter, she's on everywhere on the web. She's on my site. So please connect with her, celebrate her as a woman. She really is amazing, and requires all the light and love that you can, her and her journey. Let's be magic. So thank you, everyone, and thank you. Bye-bye. Bye.